right, this year marks the 12th International Women's Day Dialogue. Tomorrow's event will be held under the theme Gender and Wealth Creation, Multidimensional Approaches to Poverty Eradication. The annual dialogue is hosted by the Thabo Mbeki Foundation as well as the University of South Africa. Let's talk more about what to expect. We're joined tonight by one of the panelists, Dr Luz Helena Hanauer, who is also the Executive Director of the Women's Development Business Trust. Doctor, a very good evening to you. Thank you so much for being on News at Prime. So we have known for years now, decades in fact, that women are often at the very worst as far as the receiving end of socio-economic conditions across countries. Why have current interventions simply failed to address that?
Because we have not understood two things. One is the multidimensionality of poverty, and two is the systematic exclusion not only of women but of a number of people, and the lack of intersectionality has made our interventions inane, has rendered them unuseful. And
a lot of women have been saying, at least women I've been listening to in South Africa say, you know, when the conversation about equality, socio-economic equality is had, women are told, well, you need to get the skills, then you will be able to get access to the jobs and the opportunities that men do. But once that happens, there's also another barrier, and constantly with every step, one more thing is presented as stopping them from achieving their full potential. Do you think it's deliberate still?
So it maybe not be deliberate, although in some cases it is, but we have to look at the system underpinning our society and the values that are central to it. So there is no lack of skilled women in South Africa, skilled, smart, resourceful, hardworking, from the poorest of the poor, who are the most resourceful, to the women on board. So when we don't see equality in the paycheck, when we are still continued to be considered in Bokodo, the rock, we are being put in a situation where our strength plays against us. And I think it is time for us to heal all those notions and to move forward.
Can that healing happen through policy, or are we going to need much more than that?
Well, we need policy. We need to work on policy. We need policy to be deliberately inclusive, unapologetically shifting on values, radically transformative, but not in a way that is discursive, in a way that is practical. And of course, policy alone is not enough. We need actions in our homes. We need actions in our hearts. We need actions in our workplaces. And we need actions in how our society is established. We need to understand the cycles and situations of the lives of women that put us in a more disadvantageous position, and why is it that we have a system that allows for that to happen.
And with that in mind, then, what do you think will be the one thing, or perhaps two things, that you wish to impart during tomorrow's event to move us, shift us in that direction?
Tomorrow's event, we're very privileged to have with us an absolute ally and a great mind on that is Professor Mohammed Yunus. And I think it's going to be focused on financial inclusion that is tailored and suited for the poorest of the poor, because women are the face of poverty. So when we establish and when we create possibilities for them to be part of the financial inclusion, that is one area of them. And the other one is the square of development, where we have strong advocacy, training, and social development in the form of relevant interventions.
And the event itself, you've just spoken about access, especially for the poorest of the poor. How do we take such events and make them a safe and comfortable space from women of all classes? Because often when you interact with poor, especially predominantly black women in this country, they say, well, they're never included in these conversations. It's often a talk about them without them. And even when they are able to attend, the language is often so academic that it is in itself a means or a way that is gatekeeping or keeping them out as a barrier.
So Those are part of the systematic barriers that we are talking about. We are illustrating the point with a very programmatic approach that we have taken, where a group lending instead of individual lending has been implemented for the past 30 years, but also where the interventions are done with the participation and the subjective assessment from the people who are going to receive them. We need to rescue the voice, we need to rescue the agency, and we need to rescue the ideas and the dignity. We need to start working on dignity restorations for our women, and that means they are the agents of their change. They are the ones who have the ideas, and we need to be there to accompany, to implement them, and to strengthen them into their journey to abundance.
Dr. Luz Helena Hanauer from the Women's Development Business Trust, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.